What's going on, folks? My name is Jacob and I'm the Chief of Product at Check. Today we're going to talk about how to add and edit charges manually. Now, anytime you complete a job and it has a price assigned to it, it creates an invoice that shows up on your client's account balance. But every once in a while, you may need to add a separate charge. Let's say you're getting set up and the client already owes you some money, or they asked you to do something extra while you were on site, or you needed to charge an extra bag of mulch to their bill, and you didn't have a separate job for it. Well, this is where charges would come in. First, if you're in the client's profile, simply tap on the client that you'd like to add a charge to. We'll select Angela Martin here at the top, and you'll swipe over to the Activity tab, and you can see all of the transactions there. Now, to add a charge, simply tap the Charge button there in the bottom, select the amount, say $50, hit Confirm, and now we have our charge details. Starting from the top and going down, we have an option to send an invoice for this charge. If you have this toggled on, it will use the same invoice invoice type that you have set in your client details. So I believe Angela's was set to SMS, which means she's going to get a text with an invoice for a charge of $50. If we don't want that to be sent, we can simply toggle that off. The charge will be recorded in her account, but she won't actually receive an invoice. The next step is simply to change the charge type if we need to. The default is set to services rendered. Typically, this is what most people will choose, but if you want to add outstanding balance, materials, or some other option, you can. You'll notice that if we have services rendered selected, we can select our services there in the second box. But if we don't have services rendered selected, let's say we chose outstanding balance. Now we have a description box where we can describe what it is that is actually being charged for. So let's say we had other. We can fill in that description with something like mulch, maybe. Next, we'll select the property. If they have multiple properties, you'll be able to choose from the list there. It will automatically default to whatever their first property is in the list. Finally, we have the date and the notes. Now, date is good best practice to select the date in which the services were performed on if this charge is for services rendered. However, if the charge is for something like mulch, the date doesn't really matter. You can leave it set to today since that's the date that they'll actually receive that invoice on. And then finally, you can add any notes that are related to this charge and then tap Add Charge down at the bottom. And there you have it. Now, it's also important to note that from this screen, you can also edit a charge by simply tapping on it. And you'll notice it's still saying creating invoice up there at the top. It's just connecting with our system. Don't worry about that. You can still make edits. It only takes a moment. We allow you to edit the date, the description, and any notes that you might want to add to the invoice. But it's important to note that the client and the total amount will always stay the same because we want to make sure that there's integrity through your transactions. So if you accidentally made a mistake on the total amount, you can either delete this invoice here and create a new one, or you can always add an adjustment charge in addition to this one. However you choose to do it to make sure that the outstanding balance is correct. I hope that this has been helpful, and we'll see you in the next video.